Our presentation is on Italy's economy by Aidan Riley, Zachary Claw, and Elia Housey. To start out with background facts, Italy has one of the largest and most developed economies in the world, and the things that contribute to their economy today are their manufacturing and services sector. Italy is famous for its high quality products and craftsmanship, especially in luxury goods such as fashion, automobiles, and design. Some of their noteworthy brands are Ferrari, Fiat, and Lamborghini. The Made in Italy label is synonymous with quality and style. The services sector is also significant, particularly with tourism. Italy is one of the world's top tourist destinations, renowned for its rich history, art, culture, and cuisine. Cities like Rome, Florence, Venice, and Milan attract millions of visitors each year. Moving forward, these are some of the negatives that contribute to their economy. Italy has a high public debt. Italy has one of the highest levels of public debt among developed countries. High levels of government debt can limit fiscal flexibility, constrain public spending on essential services and investments, and also pose risks to financial stability. They also have low economic growth, structural issues such as rigid labor markets, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and a slow pace of economic reforms have contributed to sluggish growth, and also political instability and corruption and bureaucracy. These are kind of go hand in hand. Italy has struggled with corruption and bureaucratic inefficiencies, and it can hinder business activity, investment, economic development. Addressing corruption and streamlining bureaucratic processes are essential for fostering a more conducive business environment. Moving forward to the Consumer Price Index. So just general information on CPI. The CPI measures the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a basket of goods and services. It includes a wide range of items commonly purchased by households, such as food, housing, transportation, clothing, education, and healthcare. Changes in the CPI can have significant implications for the economy. High inflation erodes purchasing power, reduces real incomes, and can lead to higher interest rates. And on the other hand, low or negative inflation may signal weak demand, deflationary pressures, and economic stagnation. Policymakers use CPI data to assess the effectiveness of economic policies such as monetary policy, fiscal policy, and measures to address supply side constraints. So these two charts show Italy's CPI, and the second chart on the right shows Italy's CPI in comparison to the United States CPI. According to Y charts, Italy's CPI stands at 121.8 points today in March or April 2024, in comparison to the United States approximate 312 points. Moving forward to the gross domestic product, according to the International Monetary Fund, Italy's gross domestic product stands at around $2.3 trillion in 2024, and this equates to around almost $40,000 per capita.
Okay, so moving on to the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate represents the number of unemployed people as a percentage of the labor force. And between January 2018 to 2024, the unemployment rate in Italy has noticeably decreased, as shown by the graph to the right. But however, nationwide, the youth unemployment rate for the last quarter of 2023 was 24%, way the highest calculated in Europe. The country's high unemployment rate could be a result of 70% of young men in Italy that are currently living with their parents. High unemployment, low wages, and lack of financial resources impact the lifestyle of young Italians, men and women alike.
So one of the main issues with Italy's economy is their fiscal policy. So Italy has one of the highest public debts in Europe, exceeding over 130%. It also struggles a lot with budget deficits and limiting its fiscal maneuverability. Some of the issues has to do with like the pension, the debt, and growth-oriented policies. Italy has a generous pension system already that contributes significantly to public spending, but there's a lot that can be done to improve as the public spending is still not very high at the moment. Italy does have very high public debt and government debt, which limits fiscal flexibility and constrains public spending on essential services and investments. and also poses a risk to financial stability. And there's also limited growth-oriented policies such as investing in education and infrastructure, which can help stimulate economic growth in the long run, and can also lead to increased tax revenues and make it easier to manage and reduce debt to GDP ratio. Another issue they have is with their monetary policy. So the ECB, or the European Central Bank, determines the monetary policy for Italy because it's a member of the Eurozone. So Italy doesn't have control over its own interest rates. And this is a major negative factor because Italy having control of its own interest rates could lower borrowing costs, boost the housing market, stimulate economic growth, and help with the currency value. By controlling its interest rates, Italy can reduce the cost of borrowing for businesses and consumers, encouraging businesses to invest in projects, expand operations, and create jobs. Consumers also benefit from lower interest rates on mortgages, car loans, and other forms of credit, which can also boost consumer spending. Lower interest rates also make mortgages more affordable, which means more people are going to be buying houses. And a thriving housing market creates jobs for construction and related industries and increase household wealth, also leading to higher economic spending, increasing the country's GDP and CPI. Lower interest rates can stimulate economic growth by increasing consumption and investments. When borrowing becomes cheaper, businesses are more likely to invest in capital projects, and consumers are more likely to make big ticket purchases, which drives economic activity. And lower interest rates can lead to a decrease in the value of the currency, making exports more competitive in the global market, which can improve Italy's trade balance and support its export-oriented industries.
So these are some of the policy recommendations that we came up with where the Italy and possibly the U.S. could possibly reform their economies. Governments and policymakers can work to increase output, which creates demand for jobs, therefore lowering unemployment rates. Lowering unemployment. Italy separating from the ECB so it can determine its own monetary policies, which also lowers interest rates. Implementing reforms to increase the retirement age, adjust pension benefits, and encourage longer working lives can help reduce the burden on public finances. Broadening the tax base and improving tax collection can increase government revenue without raising tax rates excessively. Simplifying the tax system and reducing tax evasion can also contribute to higher revenue. And finally, refinancing debt at lower interest rates and extending maturities can help reduce debt servicing costs. Italy could also consider using debt buybacks or debt for equity swaps to reduce its debt burden. With Italy and the U.S. having similar economic status issues, both companies could benefit from these policy recommendations. Since both countries, the U.S. notably, having a particular debt problem and unemployment problem, the U.S. could benefit from those policies the most.
And these are sources.